The tide has turned for Disney. Over the past week, Bob Iger has not only lost the confidence of many of Disney's own shareholders as well as lawmakers, worse still, he is increasingly losing the support of his own base of followers. This video is sponsored by Surfshark. Bob Iger used to be a rock star, admired by his CEO peers running other major corporations, beloved by Hollywood and the entertainment media complex, and looked up to as a celebrity by a large chunk of the pleb, who celebrated his return to Disney.
I am so happy right now I may actually cry. Bob Chapek has been fired by Disney. He's out. Bob Iger, Big Papa Iger, is back, running the company again, at least for a little while.
Since his return, however, Bob Iger has been utterly exposed for what he is, or rather what he is not, namely capable of getting Disney out of the very mess that he and he alone put the company in. In this editorial then, we will begin with seeing how key shareholders are now turning on Iger, how lawmakers are beginning to come for both him and Disney, and finally, and this might be what hurts him the most, how Iger's own former fanboys increasingly walk away as well. Not helping any of this, of course, is Elon Musk, whom Bob Iger made an enemy out of when he bought into what amounts to fabricated accusations against X, orchestrated by the highly partisan organization Media Matters. Since then, Musk has never missed out on an opportunity to throw shade at Iger's Disney.
You have to wonder, what would Walt Disney think of the company that is his namesake today?
I'm telling you what.
I mean, I think Walt Disney's turning in his grave faster than a drill bit.
While only Disney knows exactly how many have cancelled their Disney Plus subscriptions as a direct result, there have been many. If you should happen to be among them, then as usual, we urge you not to take to the high seas in the unlikely event that you should feel like getting caught up with some Disney programming like Marvel or Star Wars, as neither Midnight's Edge nor our sponsors condone piracy. Not only is it illegal, you would be exposing yourself to endless spyware, tracking software and other malware out there on the high seas, and that's on top of all the data that could be stolen from you during all of your regular browsing and sold to third parties. Have you noticed all the spam and scam mails you're getting? Well, they got your email from those third parties, that's how that happens. There's a fix for all of that though. To protect yourself, you need to protect your data, and a good way of doing that is through a VPN, such as the one delivered by this channel sponsor, Surfshark. A VPN, or Virtual Private Network, is a privacy protection tool which guarantees instant online safety and encrypts all data sent via the internet, thereby protecting your data and you. But there's more. Surfshark allows you to bypass geo-blocking restrictions by changing the country you access the internet from, which gives some great advantages when it comes to streaming. For instance, you can access 15 different Netflix libraries, all with a different selection of movies and TV series simply by changing your virtual location. Which is easy, because Surfshark has over 3,200 servers in more than 100 countries around the world. Outside of the US, Star, the international version of Hulu, comes bundled with Disney Plus already. If you're in the US and you change your location to, say, the UK, well then you just might get that too. That's pretty good, but it gets even better. If you type in the code MIDNIGHT when ordering, that triggers an exclusive holiday special offer of up to 6 months for free. Just head on over to surfshark.deals/midnight to order. Link is in the description. Furthermore, Surfshark also offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk in trying it out. Thanks to Surfshark for sponsoring this video, and with that, let's get back to everyone turning on Iger. I have long maintained that outside of BlackRock, State Street and Vanguard, who are all in on what Iger has been doing, the rest of Disney's shareholders, who you'd think actually want to earn some money on their Disney shares, are an incredibly gullible bunch, seeing as they sit idly by and watch as their ship is sinking. Luckily, some are starting to wake up though, and pledge their allegiance to Nelson Peltz, Disney's best hope in these troubled times. If you don't know who he is or what he is about, I suggest watching this video, which you'll find linked in the description, where I break that down in detail. Long story short though, is that Peltz and his Trian group are looking to force their way onto Disney's board. A board presently filled with Iger acolytes who lack any kind of experience when it comes to entertainment, but Iger is trying to block this from happening, because if Peltz were to succeed in getting on the Disney board, then Iger would suddenly have to answer to it, in the way that, boards are supposed to function. Well, after long last, after losing a fortune in share value and seeing nothing but bad press and no light at the end of the tunnel, some shareholders are starting to realize that maybe Peltz should get those board seats. On December 5th, the Ancora Holdings group issued a press release and letter to their fellow Disney shareholders, in which they made public their intention to side with Nelson Peltz and move the company away from the failed vision of Bob Iger. In this statement, which was reprinted by that Park Place, they state, "A degree of shareholder-driven change is certainly warranted in Disney's boardroom following an extended period of absent-minded governance, ineffective succession planning, polarizing actions, and sustained value destruction. Many of Disney's current directors and executives bear responsibility for lapses that have undermined the company's positioning in the exceedingly competitive and ever-changing entertainment world. While it has been argued that challenges largely stem from the tenure of Bob Chapek, the board was in the driver's seat before, during, and after that time. Take note of this. Iger's strategy has been to blame everything that's bad and wrong with Disney on Bob Chapek, a falsehood that Iger's friends in the media and other fanboys are only too happy to parrot, even if it is blatantly untrue. And indeed, Ancora Holdings do not fall for this particular piece of disinformation as they continue. The upshot is that Disney shareholders have incurred meaningful losses and the company has dramatically underperformed the S&P 500 Media and Entertainment Index over various periods, including 1-year, 3-year, and 5-year horizons. The board's stewardship issues have not only resulted in financial setbacks. By allowing Disney to devote shareholders' resources to a number of politicized initiatives, the board has overseen a deterioration of what was once the most unifying brand in the world. This is Ancora saying that Bob Iger and his incompetent board fucked around, and that the shareholders subsequently found out that the axiom "get woke, go broke" does indeed come with a high degree of predictability. To this end, the statement continues, the company is increasingly dividing rather than delighting a growing number of consumers. A recent Axios Harris Poll 100 revealed that Disney is now the 5th most polarizing brand in the world, right behind FTX. That's bad. A company like Disney isn't supposed to be that. If you're an entertainment company, you want to entertain everyone regardless of their political colors, so you don't want to even be on a list of most polarizing brands, let alone in the top 5. The fact that it is on Bob Iger and Bob Iger alone. He made the decisions, the hirings, and the enabling that put Disney in that spot. I also find it intriguing that they would highlight FTX, as Iger's name has been mentioned in that context before. We'll see if more comes of that. Iger, of course, does realize that his position is weakened, so as part of his larger strategy to fortify his position, he had Blackwell's Capital speak out on his behalf. Blackwell's Capital are Disney shareholders, but they're shareholders of the BlackRock kind, meaning they're in it for the woke ESG cause, so they don't really care what happens to the Disney share price. To them, Disney is a means, not the end, and so they urged Peltz to end his ego-driven campaign for Disney board seats. Well, in their press release, the Ancora Holdings group addressed this, saying, "In closing, we want to address what looks to be a self-serving publicity stunt on the part of Blackwell's Capital LLC. The firm's principal, Jason Aintabi, recently attacked Mr. Peltz's efforts at Disney hours before reportedly launching a campaign at the Wendy's company, where Mr. Peltz is chairman and the largest shareholder. We believe the record shows Mr. Aintabi is a publicity-seeking greenmailer with a questionable personal and business history. On the other hand, it is widely known that Mr. Peltz is a pioneer in shareholder activism who has made billions of dollars over many decades for himself, his partners, and fellow shareholders in the companies in which he has invested. Mr. Peltz, or a qualified designee, would make a fantastic addition to Disney's board. In other words, get ready, because the battle for Disney's soul is just beginning, and so far, Team Iger is losing support even outside of Disney's shareholders. The Ancora Holdings Group weren't the only ones to issue a press release on December 5th. South Carolina Treasurer Curtis Loftus did so as well, announcing that South Carolina had removed Disney from its approved investment list. Once again, that Park Place picked up the story. South Carolina dumps Disney after it engages in advertising boycott against Elon Musk and social media platform X. So, this is yet another direct result of Iger's idiot decision to withdraw advertising funding from X. The reason for this is that Disney has abandoned its fiduciary responsibilities to its investors and consumers by joining far-left activists in boycotting legal, tax-paying, employment-creating corporations to further Disney's political agenda. Multi-billion-dollar corporations should not engage in boycotts designed to silence legitimate debate. Since America's founding, freedom of speech has been one of its core principles, and Disney should not engage in nefarious practices aimed at silencing those with less power and money. The danger for Disney here isn't South Carolina in and of itself. Disney will be fine without South Carolina's investments, but now that South Carolina has made this move, it will be much easier for other states to follow suit. Especially given the reasons put forth, namely that Disney has abandoned its fiduciary responsibilities, which is a legal issue. And legal issues is something Disney better get used to, because they're about to get tangled in a lot more of them. On December 6th, industry trade, i.e. studio mouthpiece Deadline Hollywood, ran with the highly partisan headline, "Ron DeSantis appointed board approves audit accusing Disney of self-dealing in Central Florida, cites activist stockholder on need for change." To their credit though, they at the very least ran the story at all. Most other studio mouthpieces said nothing about it, and they should have, because this is big. What Deadline Hollywood is trying to rationalize away as a political hit job instigated by Ron DeSantis is something much worse, and with potentially severe ramifications for Disney staff, up to and including Bob Iger himself. You see, the real story here is that while hired by the DeSantis Florida administration, independent investigators whose credentials are beyond reproach and with an academic reputation to maintain conducted a forensic audit on all things Reedy Creek. While the final report is largely incomprehensible to those not well versed in accounting principles in general and Florida legislation in particular, that may be why there's so little press on this. What was documented was nonetheless a history of corruption and full-on criminal wrongdoing going back nearly 6 decades. According to the report, the Reedy Creek Improvement District was, and I quote, "the most egregious exhibition of corporate cronyism in modern American history." We had Andrew Esquire of Legal Mindset, who just so happens to be a specialist in Florida's special tax districts, come on to help us understand it all. Here's an excerpt of what he said.
Could you walk us through what the advantage was of having a defunct power plant supposedly ready to go on in emergency situations, but which cannot? What was the scheme there?
The scheme was transferring $70 million into Disney's pockets for things that solely benefit Disney.
So the question I have is, what potential punishments would come if a ruling was made against them? Would it just be fines, or would it actually be incarceration?
No, I've been very clear. It's criminal. These are multiple of these. I mean, there's fraud, misuse of public office, misuse of funds. These are criminal. At this point, it actually goes on for so long, it creates what's called a criminal enterprise. And because bribery is involved in several other types of fraud, this is what falls under RICO. You know that thing they tried to come after Trump with? Well, yeah, You can do that at a state level. Florida can go after RICO charges against all of Disney, including Bob Iger. So when I say Bob Iger can be brought in on RICO, I am not being hyperbolic. That is absolutely possible with this. Completely possible.
I'm so glad I'm a
the
Batman
Mafia.
fan. I understand so much stuff because
Just
of Batman
like the
now.
Mafia.
For much more detail, check out Legal Mindset's channel. He has a full playlist dedicated to Disney versus Florida. The main takeaway though is that as bad as things have been for Disney as of late, this is only just the beginning. The bad stuff is yet to come. As we said in the beginning of this video, Iger's Disney isn't just losing support among the shareholder and lawmakers, they're also losing support among their own stands. And for a man as vain as Bob Iger, that has got to hurt. But that is also a rather lengthy topic, so I will have to get back to that in the next video. For now, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments. And before you go, remember that to help protect your data and bypass quarrelsome geo-blocking restrictions, you should get Surfshark VPN. Get an exclusive Surfshark holiday deal by entering promo code MIDNIGHT to get up to 6 additional months for free at surfshark.deals/midnight. Link is in the description.